Call this August assemblage to order. First on the agenda is the Seminole Airport Authority. Roll call, Jay.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Gary Houck. John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Larry Church. Dee Dee Patterson.
Here.
Shane Fisher. We have a quorum.
The consideration and action of the consent agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there any comments or presentations from the audience for the airport authority? If not, there being no further business, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. That brings us to the Seminole Gas Authority. Roll call.
John Kramer.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
Gary Houck. Larry Church. Chris Anson.
Here.
Shane Fisher. We have a quorum.
Consideration action of the consent agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Roll call.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there any appearances or petitions from the audience? If not, there being no further business, an adjournment is in order. Motion.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. That brings us to the Seminole Utilities Authority. Roll call.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Gary Houck. Larry Church. Shane Fisher. We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there appearances or petitions from the audience for the Utilities Authority? If not, that brings us then to current business. Number one, consideration and possible action to approve a transfer of $25,000 to the Seminole Community and Wellness Facilities Authority in lieu of Wellness Center memberships for city employees and their dependents for the period January 1 through December 31, 2016. This is as we've done in the past.
Yes, this is
Budgeted.
budgeted
Move to
and
approve.
customary.
Second.
Roll call.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
There being no further business, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. That brings us to the city council. And we'll have roll call today.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Here.
Gary Houck. Larry Church. Tim Poplin.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Jeff Griffin.
Here.
Shane Fisher. We have a quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Isagramisi and Mishka Hanga Gigudai, Pumakasapka de Quichi de Medo, Moment, Portalofa Seminole, Moment Poestia Mulgan, Itinokichikidis, Moment Chimi Isagramisi Anogitskas. God, whose mercies cannot be numbered, accept our prayer of thanks for the city of Seminole and for all our people. Let us love one another, for you, God, are love. Amen.
Amen.
Elections and appointments, consideration and possible action to approve the mayoral appointment of Mitch Enos to the library board for a 3-year term to replace the position being vacated by Gary Wilbur.
Move to approve. Second.
That can be done on a voice vote.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. There's another one, is there not?
Yes,
I
correct.
don't have that right here.
On the addendum, I'm sorry.
You're right, might have it here.
Consideration and possible action to approve the mayoral appointment of Corey Crabtree to the Seminole Community and Wellness Facilities Authority to replace the position being vacated by Leanne Morgan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. That brings us to consideration and action of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there any appearances or petitions from the audience for the council? If not, we then move to approvals and acceptance bids. Number 2, consideration and possible action to approve the purchase of two 2016 Chevrolet Tahoe 2WD vehicles at the state contract price of $34,030 per vehicle, or a total cost of $68,060.
That gives us how many two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive vehicles?
Wow. Shane?
Four-wheel drive and eight two-wheel.
This is, it doesn't have it on here, but this is coming out of the 2010 non-bonded account for the sales tax that was passed by the voters.
This was on our budget. Budget.
Yes.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 3, consideration and possible action to approve the sole quote from Lone Star Products and Equipment for police unit lighting and equipment for the two unmarked Tahoes at a total cost of $6,558.78.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolutions. Number 4, consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2016-05, a resolution declaring June as Fair Housing Month for the city of Seminole.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 5, consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2016-06, a resolution declaring May as Community Action Month for the city of Seminole.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Chris Hansen,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
There is a resolution in written form for this also. Is it your pleasure that we hold that for chain signature?
Yes, sir. We'll do that. We'll take care of that.
Number 6, consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2016-07, a resolution allowing alcohol to be served at the Seminole High School all-class reunion on October the 8th from 7 p.m. to midnight at the Municipal Building Auditorium.
Yes, sir. We've had a request, and I'll just advise that staff has looked at other communities. There are other communities that do this. I think what we need is a policy that's going to be able to apply probably to the parks, any streets that, for example, you'll see in a minute. There's also a request for Main Street. Any of the auditorium or community room, there are requests that are beginning to come more often, and I think we need probably a city-wide policy on what we're going to look at. More than likely, just judging from some of the homework that we've done thus far, your policy will probably include things like have a law enforcement officer present, have special event insurance on file, make sure that they've passed clearance through Able Commission, and if there are any permits or anything required for their event, that they have that accomplished. And then what we didn't know, but we've learned, is that there's such thing as host liquor liability insurance. And apparently that covers not just the host, but the city for anything that might happen after a person has had alcohol in it on their person. So we'll take that up and try to develop a policy, but until that time, if those things are something that you want to place caveats on this event in front of you, we can do that, or whatever is your pleasure.
Should we let you come up with the policy, and then, I mean, do we need to approve that policy, or?
Yes, when the policy is drafted, you'll need to approve it, but we don't have a policy in place right now, so.
There are two events. One isn't coming up until October. The other one is in June, which would put, that getting their permission by our June meeting might be a little more difficult. But could we pass these pending us pass, or, could we have like a pending our, policy, approved by the city at a future date?
Sure. Now, make sure I understand what you're saying. The 4 requirements that I just mentioned would be in play for the June event, and then the other one is approved contingent upon them complying with whatever policy we get together between now and.
Yes.
Is that okay?
That sounds good to me.
Yes.
I have a question, Vice Mayor. We voted on alcohol in the city 3 or 4 times since I've set this seat, and I have a couple of questions before I vote on it. And Chief Marshall, have we ever had any problems with any of those events that you've seen in the past?
I think all but one that I remember. Most of this has usually been done by the chamber, and I know we had worked out some verbal agreements that they usually provide on their own as assurances to us, but but now that we're getting other requests from other entities, I agree with Steve, I think we should have a policy as to what we expect.
I might just say that we talked about this, and we have a policy at the Wellness Center already for events. We see it at the, it's not just like at the municipal building, but like the community room at the golf course. I think I think Sharon's got a policy for, birthday parties or parties at the pool. And we just probably need to kind of consolidate this and get something in place. But in the past, you've had to pass a resolution for the consumption of alcoholic beverages or beer, in public for these events, and that's what the resolution's here for. But
Do we have one at the Wellness Center that they're using?
We have a policy at the Wellness Center.
Do you know what that is off the top of your head?
Okay, we have to have a licensed caterer for alcoholic beverages, I understand, and that's all in the policy, the written policy there. So, and that's actually, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think when we researched it with the Able Commission, you kind of get into all that, so it's complex.
I agree, we need to come up with something and make it for everybody when we pass these. They not need to all be subject to that.
The one thing that you're going to have to do regardless is when these events come up, you still will have to pass a resolution for alcohol in public, so.
So I'll make the motion pending policy provided by the city at a future date.
All right, so on item number 6, resolution 2016-07, that be approved, subject to the policy as to be worked out between now and June.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
No.
Item number 7, consideration and possible action to approve Resolution 2016-08, a resolution allowing alcohol to be served at the Merchant Appreciation Night sponsored by Seminole Main Street on June the 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. on the 200 block of Main Street.
I'll make a motion subject to the same provision as the one before.
Motion to approve,
I'll
subject to
second.
the same provision, and seconded by Dee Dee. Roll call.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
No.
Motion passes.
Ordinance, and if we could have that policy for the June meeting, even though that's pushing it, that's before the next event.
We'll do our very best.
Okay. Item number 8, ordinance, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 1194, an ordinance affecting changes to city health and sanitation codes regarding tall weeds and grass, and you've received a supplemental report on that, I believe.
So, I have some issues with what was being proposed. I think, 150-foot setback is a little extreme considering, where we live. You know, we do have a lot of agricultural area in and around Seminole. I think you may not realize what that impact may be. I realize we're trying to accomplish, trying to clean up the city, and I am for that. And I think, we need to come up with maybe something that's a little better for our city and maybe not something that would be for, a larger city that they can easily, do that because they're not necessarily surrounded by agriculture areas. One of the things I would ask though is, you know, we try to write these ordinances so that we capture everything that we'd hopefully like to run into. Is there a way to address that to, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to offend you guys when I come up with something silly like this, but, you know, while we can't capture everything, can we write into where, a nuisance can be identified through other means? Maybe it's through a committee or through the council or someone. While it doesn't meet the exact requirements in this, it's been deemed a nuisance for other reasons or similar reasons.
I guess I'll answer that. Well, to hold somebody accountable, it's gonna have to meet certain criteria, which means it's gonna have to probably be reduced to writing. You know, the existing one that we have gives a laundry list of public nuisances. We actually, I think, added a few in the new ordinance, as I recall, or rewarded a couple to take into consideration, and that was Terry Gray and Sharon were able to look at some other communities that had some different definitions that we thought were a little bit better, a little bit simpler than what we have. But I mean, we could put a committee together and come up with what you would define as a nuisance. I mean, the council ultimately is the one that's going to have to approve it. But just on the fly or on the cuff, I mean, going out and saying this is like a nuisance without it meeting a definition probably isn't going to be something we're going to be able to enforce, if that answers the
Well,
question.
I mean, we know there are areas that are rat infested,
Mhm.
where they're breeding ground, that
Right.
not necessarily just out in the middle of the pasture, it has other items go along with it to support that. I mean, there are
Right.
certainly things I think could be defined maybe in enough detail that we might be able to do that. Again, I'm not gonna have to be the one to defend it
Right.
in a court of law, but, you know, we're really trying to just take care of those areas that are causing problems and are really a true nuisance to the neighbors in the neighborhood. And sometimes you try to make something so broad you can capture all those, but then it could be an abuse of power later on down the line if, you know, there's just a disagreement and they go, well, you know what, your agriculture, you have to cut it back 150 feet. There you go, you know, a lot of added cost on our citizens. Is what concerns me. So I would make a motion that we table it and either form a committee or come back with maybe a rewrite and maybe present it at a later date.
Second.
Roll call.
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer,
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
Item number 9, under current business, consideration and possible action to approve reduced rates for the municipal swimming pool and community room to the Family Resource Center for its summer camp to be held for 4 weeks from June 7th through June 30th. This is something that we've done every year in the past.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 10, consideration and possible action to approve waiving the $5 fee, oops, I lost my place. The $5 fee for garage sale permits during the citywide garage sale event during the June 3rd weekend.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson,
Yes.
Tim Poplin,
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Be a big outcry if we didn't do that. Number 11, consideration and possible action to approve closing the 200 block of Main Street to vehicular traffic for Seminole Main Street events to be held as follows. On June 10 for Movies on Main Street from 8 to 10 p.m. and on June 16th for Merchant Appreciation Night from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Move to approve.
My
Second.
question, whether that 2 hours for the movie, is that enough? The movie's normally about 2 hours long, isn't it? Would you not want to do that earlier?
We would like to if possible, but it's up to the city council. Hopefully our movie is just an hour and a half long, and we have a screen that shouldn't take too long to go up. So we would like to ask for more.
Well, are you planning on starting at 8, or would you like to get there in time to close the street?
We'd like to start by 8:30, that way around, on June 10th during the summer, it normally gets dark around 8:30, 8:45. So if we could maybe have it at least by 7:30, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so maybe 7:30 until after the movie's
Yeah.
over. and allow
I
time
think
to
what we
clean
were
up?
trying to do is keep it beyond Boomerang's dinner time.
Okay.
Luckily, well, Boomerang is actually the block south, or, yeah.
It won't be closed?
No, that won't
Okay.
be closed. This will be lunch and such, trellis, that block. We chose that block on purpose just because we're not blocking Boomerang, we're not blocking Don Ciro's, Broadway, Main.
So you'd like to have 7:30?
Yes, please.
Can we change that, Vice Mayor, or do we have to go with this?
You can amend it, subject to amendment. You want to make a motion to approve, subject to amendment to 7:30, you can do
Second.
that.
Did you motion and I seconded?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, change it to 7:30 until 10 o'clock.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded as amended. Roll call?
Chris Anson,
Yes.
Dee Dee Patterson.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland,
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Jeff Griffin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. That brings us then to reports. Since the mayor is not here, he doesn't get to report. City manager?
A few things, just the budget downturn continues to affect us. We're gonna be going into budget discussions. I think most of you scheduled the appointments with us for working sessions. Right now, it is our hope that we will come in somewhere between 12 and 14% reduced in our income. So our budget going forward will reflect that. Obviously, the law requires that we only spend what we brought in last year. So we're going to meet that requirement, and it's not going to be comfortable, but we are going to get there. You may or may not know that the work center that we depend upon to get our inmates from has announced that they will be closing. I don't have a date yet, but we all are going to suffer. From the Snowman Wonderland to all the festivals and events. I know Lacey used a lot of us during their January 1st New Year's celebration. That's going away. And We certainly don't have the budget to replace the 17 to 20 members that we depend upon to help us every day, from mowing parks to wastewater treatment plant. We've got them at the cemetery. I mean, we just depend on these guys, and it's unfortunate. I feel strongly. You may have read my response that I gave up there at the corrections department. The fact that I believe that this is really rehabilitation. When we're teaching them to operate heavy equipment, we've hired numerous positions here at the city from those work crews, as have Wewoka and Seminole County that I know of. And so we're placing those people into new jobs, and they're getting out of the system. And to go back to the dark ages where there was no rehabilitation is a step backwards. I'm really sorry to see that. I know, and I sympathize with the state. Obviously, we're making budget cuts, and I know they have to too, but it's not going to be comfortable. I'll remind everyone, since it's storm season, we do on our website have a button, a couple of buttons actually, for you to be interested in this time of year. If you're interested in getting the storm notifications through the Blackboard Connect system, which is our citywide emergency notification group, it's on our website. You can sign up. It's very simple to use. If you still have issues and questions, feel free to call us at City Hall and we'll walk you through it. We're glad to do that. In addition, if you've had a new storm shelter installed, a cellar or something, we would like to know where it is. If something bad happens and debris is covering that storm shelter, we'd like to be able to find you and help rescue. So that registry is also online. You can just click the button, and it's very simple to use. That's all. If you're good to your neighbor, I'd bake him some cookies first and go ask.
Take cookies with you.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you. City Attorney?
We're going to hope to present the charter committee's recommendations to you next month, so be looking for that. We'll try to get them out to you as soon as we can, and if you've got any questions, give me a call, and hopefully we'll be able to get that finalized and get to the vote of the people if you choose to do that. That's all I have.
Ward 1, the church is on vacation, so he's not here. The only thing I would say is what we have said, I think, at every meeting, because it needs to be said at every meeting, that we are very blessed with the staff, administrative, and everything for the city of Seminole. We just have a wonderful, good crew that do a tremendous job, and we thank you all very much. Ward 2, John Kramer. Ward 3, Jeff Griffin.
I think I would just follow up with what Steve said a little bit about us losing the labor force that we depended on for so long, is that while our crews do a great job, they're going to be stretched thin. And, hopefully everyone can recognize the fact that that'll have an effect on everybody, as Steve said. But it's not because of the lack of trying that they're going to be doing. It's just the fact that you don't have the manpower, something's going to have to slip. And I know they'll work on the priorities first, and everything else is just kind of left.
That's right.
Tim Poplin.
Thank you.
Ward 4, Chris Hansen. Dee Dee Patterson.
Say the same thing. We're blessed with good people. Steve's got a good staff. You thank them every day.
What about the bypass?
I was gonna say, you should say iPad.
I'm coming to that. That's all.
There being no further business at this point, and the motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. We are adjourned.